Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Analyzing Good, featuring Mr. Aziz from Spider-Man 2, a trusting, lenient business owner who I think gets too much flack and deserves more praise beyond being a meme. You see, out of every named character in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, I think Mr. Aziz is commonly underlooked, beyond said memes. But the more I specifically watched the opening of Spider-Man 2 on YouTube, the more I started to think about how respectable Mr. Aziz is as a person. So let's begin. For one, for someone running a pizza restaurant in a city like New York, his 29-minute guarantee is extremely generous and customer-friendly. And as far as we know, Joe's Pizza is a one-off restaurant without any other locations in the city. Now, it could be argued that Joe's 29-minute guarantee is a business tactic at the end of the day to get more people to order from the place, but it's still customer-friendly. Because as seen in Spider-Man 2, no matter how large the order is, as the order Peter Parker is meant to deliver in the movie is stated to be 8 extra large deep fish pizzas, Mr. Aziz is actually taking a major loss if Peter doesn't make it in time. A common argument against Mr. Aziz that I hear is that while the 29-minute guarantee is very customer-friendly, it isn't worker-friendly. As in a city like New York, it would be very stressful to fulfill the 29-minute guarantee. But on the other hand, Peter did arrive 21 minutes late, leaving only 8 minutes to deliver the pizzas, which is unacceptable from the part of the worker. I want to point out that Mr. Aziz still puts his faith in Peter to deliver those pizzas, as he references how Peter always arrives late, and that he hasn't delivered the orders on time before, but he still gave Peter multiple chances, with the opening of Spider-Man 2 being his last chance. So I think it can be argued that Mr. Aziz was more fair to his workers than one might think. Because remember, as far as he knows, Peter always arrives late, and the only excuse he gives is that there was a disturbance. Mr. Aziz in his brief appearance throughout Spider-Man 2, I think, is far more composed than a cruel boss would be. The only 2 times he yells directly at Peter is when he's about to crash, and when he doesn't go straight out to deliver the pizzas once the deadline and stakes are set out. He does also acknowledge Peter's compassionate character, stating that he's a nice guy, but he's just not dependable, indicating that he doesn't want Peter fired because he is a good guy. Now, obviously the reason why Peter is always late was because he was patrolling the streets as Spider-Man, and had something to deal with that was more important than delivering pizzas, and he isn't close enough with Mr. Aziz that he would willingly share his secret. But I think if Mr. Aziz knew Peter was Spider-Man, either through Peter's direct admittance, or he noticed the mask Peter quickly hid, he would be especially lenient and understanding, since he would know the reason that Peter was always late was because he was saving the city, something more important than delivering pizzas. In fact, I imagine they could both work something out, where Mr. Aziz would just meet Spider-Man on the rooftops and get him to deliver the pizzas as Spider-Man, maybe as a sponsor, and both parties could benefit. But since we know Peter can't risk people, no matter how trustworthy, not spilling his secret, he of course didn't tell Mr. Aziz. But in my opinion, if he did know he was Spider-Man, he would be understanding and would not share his secret. Remember that Mr. Aziz was annoyed because of Peter's vague excuse for being late, and him acknowledging that Peter is a good person. I think he would see through J. Jonah Jameson's hit pieces on Spider-Man if he did indeed read the papers, and see that Spider-Man is a force for good. But that speculation aside, Mr. Aziz is arguably a good boss if you analyze all of his lines throughout his brief appearance in Spider-Man 2. He's relatively controlled, acknowledges Peter's positives despite being a lacking employee, and in the scene where he's firing him, it was far from personal, because Peter simply failed to deliver the pizzas after being given multiple chances to prove himself. Mr. Aziz is understandably upset, however. He tells Peter that Joe's 29-minute guarantee is a promise, with an emphasis on the word, and that to Peter, a promise means nothing, but to himself it's serious. Mr. Aziz in the context of Spider-Man 2 was a fair boss, more than fair actually, but still a realist in return. He gave Peter many chances, and still paid him despite his failures, but he had to draw the line, as anyone would. He's still a business owner at the end of the day, so Peter was justifiably fired in Mr. Aziz's eyes. Now, with all of that being said, Mr. Aziz was mostly written as a joke comedic character, meant to bring some energy into Peter's comedic delivery, but assessing all of his lines and how he acts throughout the story, I will argue that Mr. Aziz is a good boss, and even in the scene where he fires Peter, he straight up tells him that he's fired. No yelling, no nothing. And while he rips the sticker off of Peter's helmet, it's meant to show him that he's no longer employed at his pizza place. We don't see Mr. Aziz after the opening of Spider-Man 2, and whatever he did in the novelization in video game is irrelevant because they're not in the film canon, so we only have the theatrical and extended cut to go off of. But the extended cut was done for more comedic jokes. In the extended cut, he does argue with his co-workers, but it's in the context of running the business and not a personal fight. With that being said, that is my analysis of Mr. Aziz. I may not have much to say, but the character's only in the movie for less than 2 minutes. There's a lot we can pick up about him, and from what I picked up, at least in the workplace, Mr. Aziz is a good guy. Thank you for listening to this episode of Analyzing Good. What do you think of Mr. Aziz? Leave your thoughts below. And judge your plagiarisms. And until next time, go! Under the mountain.